Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here representing the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. First, I would like to apologize because after my presentation, I have to leave a tea break. I would have liked to be around to engage with you in the discussions later on in the day and tomorrow as well. We have what is called World Food Day, which is celebrated on the 16th of every year, 16th of October every year. That is our birthday. 1945, on 16th of October, FAO was formed in Canada. And we are that old, one of the oldest UN agencies actually, and probably the biggest in terms of size, in terms of bureaucracy. So, just in case you are not aware of who we are, we have a vision. Our members are countries, and there are 194 countries that are. We have 194 members, probably with the highest number of members of all the UN agencies. Because the issue we deal with, which is food security and sustainable development, affects all nations of the world. So our members have got a vision of a world free from hunger and malnutrition, where food and agriculture contribute to improving the living standards of all, especially the poorest, in an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable manner. Those are important aspects of our work. We really emphasize on those issues. So the members have got 3 global goals. That is the eradication of hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition. These are scourges that are still with us. Despite the fact that the FAO has been around for all this long, since 1945, we still have these issues. And in terms of hunger, the numbers have been rising recently because of many reasons. Climate change, conflicts are the major drivers of hunger and malnutrition at the moment. We also, our members have got the second global goal of eliminating poverty. But the members also believe that this should all be done in a sustainable way. We just can't just think about ourselves now and forget about the future. I like you, Prof. Thank you, Prof, for highlighting so many things that are important for my discussion as well. But you mentioned, I would like to slightly disagree with you about Mr. Trump. I think it's good to protect your own economy, protect your industries, but at the same time you need to invest in technologies that can make the systems more efficient and more environmentally friendly. Saying coal is protecting coal use in energy generation and saying that is the way we are going to go regardless of what happens now, what happens in the future, as long as you are benefiting now. I think that's not the right way to go. Mr. Trump needs to also see how he can reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases from the use of coal. If you can show us the evidence that you are changing that, then we are happy. You can go on to protect your coal industry. So, in terms of how we are organized as FAO, we have 5 strategic objectives. This is how we organize our work so that we can deliver on the goals of our members, which are the 3 goals above there. We have one program which is looking at policies around food insecurity and malnutrition, hunger, food insecurity and malnutrition. It's basically a lot of work on policies, helping countries develop policies that can help them reach their goals, the country's goals on all these issues. We have another strategic objective on making agriculture, forestry, and fisheries more productive and sustainable. This is the technology to make the systems are efficient in terms of use of all the resources that are used to produce. We have another program that focuses on reducing rural poverty. We really see this as one of the ways of addressing the problems of hunger and malnutrition. If you can reduce rural poverty, you can address those problems as well. We have the 4th, which is about enabling inclusive and efficient agriculture and food systems. We are slowly moving away from agriculture, just focusing, but we are looking more at food systems. That narrative helps us to look at the whole value chain from production to consumption. And in that way, we can address so many issues that are relevant for addressing malnutrition, hunger, and food insecurity. The fifth is increase the resilience of livelihoods to threats and crises. Prof has already touched on some of the issues that affect us, the drivers of development right now, and climate change is one of them. So in this program, which is the program I lead in Southern Africa, is we are working on making sure that the production systems, the food systems, are able to produce now and under the changing environment, whether it's climate, whether it's economic. They can anticipate, absorb whatever is coming, and be able to remain functional and delivering on what the member states want. So within those, across all those 5 strategic objectives, we've mainstreamed climate change, gender, governance as some of the issues that are important. So that is what FAO is all about. But how does FAO see the issue of water, energy, food nexus? Yeah, I know Prof was saying, he gave his views on that. We as I said earlier, our entry point is food. We focus on the food. And when we look at food, we then think about water and energy at the same time. But in our understanding, in our view is that the understanding and managing of often competing interests while ensuring the integrity of worker systems is what is the whole issue about this water, energy, food, and nexus. So we need to understand the nexus. I don't think we are there yet. We have some understanding, but I think there's still a lot to do. Like Prof said, they've been working on it, but it's a work in progress. We are not a research organization as FAO. We are not a donor. I just want to clarify these things. We are a global that can convene stakeholders in meetings like this, in forums like this, to debate issues on equal terms. When we are hosting meetings, all members are equal, regardless of which country you come from. Even if you are United States, you are the same as Malawi in forums where we bring people, we bring nations together. So we try and work on provision of evidence, working with the research organizations, working with academia to try and provide the evidence on the water, food, energy nexus. We also try to make that understanding better by developing scenarios on what can be in terms of the water, food nexus, water, food, energy nexus. We also work with stakeholders in designing and appraising response options. Once you have identified what are the issues, then how do you respond to that to make sure that you are addressing the 3 issues at the same time? And that is our role as FAO. We are involved in that work globally. Here in South Africa, we are South Africa and Southern Africa, we are more focused mainly at the moment on food, and we are thinking a lot more about water and energy. But we would like to improve the way we connect those 3 in the work we do in Southern Africa. More importantly, or most importantly, we support multi-stakeholder dialogue. I think that is what is critical about this nexus, and I thank the organizers. These are some of the processes that are very important in terms of fostering that collaboration across the different sectors. There will always be silos. I think it's going to be very difficult to break down the silos. But maybe let's think about making them porous and making sure that they can at least have information, knowledge, planning, cutting across the different sectors. Because the silos are also important for what we can call critical thinking about the issues that you're dealing with, and then trying to, of course, you have to think about what goes on around you, but I don't think as long as we have the way systems are set in terms of governments, and we're not going to easily break those silos. But we have to find a way of making sure that they work together, by creating some pores through those silos and integrating the different sectors. So the issue of dialogue is very critical to us, fostering dialogue across within the membership of our states. So what is coming out of our interactions across the globe is that thinking, talking, and implementing the nexus seems to make more sense when it comes to resource use optimization at a technical and practical level. when you are doing it at that level, it's much easier. We have examples of irrigation modernization, where you are looking at multi-purpose dams, you are looking at solar irrigation, you are looking at hydroponics, you are looking at energy usage efficiency measures in cities and crop rotation patterns. All these, we seem to be talking about the nexus at that level much easier. It's much, much easier to do that. And when it's, in some cases, in the Amazonia River and forest management programs that we are involved in, I think we see the conflict resolution and dialogue at a political and higher level being able to bring the three issues together. So there are entry points that this has been happening. But I think, as Prof said, there's still a lot to do in terms of understanding this and trying to really get practical things on the ground that are also informing policy and decisions by those at the higher level. So we need to focus on the process of thinking, talking, and deciding in water, energy, and food-related matters in order to get any meaningful results. But how does FAO look at it? I think we have a publication which you can, we can share the link to that publication, which shows our approach to the Nexus as FAO, our understanding of it and our approach to it as well. So there's the resources that we have, the land, the water, the energy, the capital, the labor, which we want to use to be able to get our goals and interests achieved around food, water, and energy. And in most cases, some of these are competing. They are not really, it's not really straightforward. You have got a competition in terms of the interests and goals. Oops. Sorry. But what is driving all that, the way that those interact, we've got issues of governance on the right side of the circle, issues of governance, sectorial policies and vested interests. We've got international and regional trade and markets and prices, industrial development, which requires all the things that the water, the energy, agricultural transformation, which is taking shape based on many factors that's driving it, population, diets. We've got climate change. I've already mentioned that as one of the drivers of how we are engaging with the Nexus. On the left side, with the softer issues like population growth and mobility, I like Prof's statement earlier on that, because I work in the SADC region, so I really relate to what you said about when you are in one country, don't think about just developing your country and forgetting your neighbors, because you always end up, whether you like it or not, taking care of the neighbors somehow, because some of the issues don't recognize the borders. Well, the borders are there, but they always be borders. Pest and diseases, for example, they don't care about borders. They don't need passports to go from. So we have to think about, there are issues that are national, there are issues that are regional, and we need to think about that. And these are some of the issues, the food, water, energy, are definitely important at the regional level, that is SADC level. We need to work together on that. So with all that, we need to manage the Nexus. And what we can do, what needs to be done is to provide the evidence on where it's working, where it's not working, and how it can be improved. We need the evidence. That is something that is really important. If you are going to talk to the policymakers, the decision makers, they need evidence. They need not just evidence, but scientific evidence, where you can say, this is what you get if you do it this way. And this is what you get, whether be they negative or positive, we need to show all that evidence as well. And we need to develop scenarios so that it makes it easier to understand. Of course, the response options are what are required, by what we all need to come up with. How do we then address the problems on the Nexus, along the Nexus? What is it that we can do to improve the system so that we can produce food from FAO perspective? We can produce food, but making sure that the energy and the water are used most efficiently. Thank you, Prof, for saying this before me. I think when we are working on this, we are also trying to address international as well as national goals. The NDP here guides us on what we do in South Africa, But at the global level, the Sustainable Development Goals, which he has already mentioned, it offers some hope in terms of having a world that is developing together, and a world that is safer, a world that is more peaceful, a world that is more prosperous. As a world, the MDGs will never get there, but we will never, even the SDGs, we will not completely, but it's a target that we are aiming. It's important that we have some target that we are aiming at, and we are all trying very hard to get there. There are some who will get there. You never get everyone not getting there. Some will get there, some will not get there. This is the role of the UN system, to try and galvanize the national systems to try and reach these goals. As FAO, there are 230 indicators that have been developed for these 17 goals. And FAO is a custodian of 21 of them. In other words, we are the organization that is supposed to make sure that there are tools and methods to measure and also to track these. And come 2030, we should be able to tell the world that we have gone this far on these indicators. So that is something that is very important for us. But we are basically leading the zero hunger. We are involved in the clean and water and sanitation. We are also involved in affordable and clean energy. I would like to even suggest that maybe the Nexus thinking should have been even done at this goals. Somehow it could have helped in terms of making sure whatever happens after these goals are set, it's recognized in the Nexus. To some extent it's there, but which could have been done better. So this is just about the goal number 2, all the things that we need to achieve under that. And we all need around water, that is what we want to achieve.